This is IBM Museum, and I did a previous unboxing of some stuff from texElec, but this video I'd like to focus a little bit more on the capture of CGA video, and I'll go through and open with the PC Junior parts, just showing how the texElec connectors go to that. And then I'm going to try and switch over to the PC Convertible. And we're going to see how successful this is. I've been gathering up a few items, and hopefully I'll have a good enough video here. So let me get off the internal webcam. And I've added so many sources now. I've got to weed through them on OBS. But this, and I've masked out, even though the addresses that were on this were extremely old. This is a PC Junior motherboard, had for a long time. And this would be the connectors that are on the back of the planer here. And probably just edge on. I have to make sure it gets focused on there otherwise. And you do see some RCA jacks and things like that. Now the texElec adapters, and let's do and again, I've got to get a complete PC Junior on the bench at some point. But it looks like, for all that, really with all the spacing and everything otherwise, this is the keyboard and game port connector. That goes to the outer side of those connectors. And the CGA and serial port, which we'll go through and work with at some point for the CGA video capture from the PC Junior. But those go right here. And that doesn't seem as tight. Okay, there they go. A little bit more seated in there. But that's how those would go. And of course, giving a plug for the CGA port, which, I also have those adapters off to the side. In fact, I've got every thing just strewn out over here. Well, we'll find it for the PC convertible side, because we could go through and we could actually put in that adapter that just goes to and gives us the CGA from that video header. But that's how those would go on to the PC Junior. So let me get switched over to the convertible, PC Convertible 5140. And I'm pulling these out. Wow. And they're just as tight coming out. So I'm really trying to be gentle, not to break anything. We'll get everything back in anti-static bag. And we will move on to the PC Convertible. And see, this is why that I need CGA video capture, because this is the convertible screen, built-in LCD, and it's not even visible of how this is on the screen at all. And this is my external color monitor. And I'm going through and I've added a slice on just like this that goes through, and it actually has the ability to go through and connect on. I'm just wanting to get, I guess it's really hard to see the pins down in there. But this allows the connection of this external CGA monitor, and it's just the same connection as that. You can really see. I turned off the I even turned off a little bit of the lighting that I have here just to be able to see the screen a little bit better. And so this would go in, it's keyed to go a particular way. Doesn't fit the other way, of course. And I tried turning this on and I don't even get any video. It worked the last time that I had it before I stored it away. And so that's really, really typical in this case. And I think the diskette drive on the convertible doesn't work, but to go through and to get some video on the screen, I wanted to be able to demonstrate it on this color monitor. So one of the things, let me go through and I'll get things switched around once again. And so do you see what we have now? I've got video being captured. And I'll go through and I can turn off my built-in webcam just to show what I've got on the bench here. And I'll have to go through and retest that external display as well, because I did have to go through and to set up the video capture device. But I'm going through to where I've got that CGA out cable from the slice going over, and I have to have a cable in the mix to, of course, connect up to the video capture card, and it's got a Pi 0 on it. And then I've got the USB power going to it, and it goes through to where it outputs to HDMI, and I actually go through to where I've got, relatively short cords, and I've just got things really just kind of sitting around. I need to get through and fasten stuff down. But this is an HDMI capture to USB. I mean, it's funny that I can't just use a USB off the Raspberry Pi or something like that to go through and to also get video. But this device, this is in the CGA mode, and it also has apparently an EGA mode that's as a default. So I'll just have to go through and work with it a little bit more. There's buttons for the menuing. I think I went through and I held it up to the camera before, and of course, as you notice, the screen on the convertible here is blank when you're going through and using the external display. But this is great that we have. In fact, I'll go through and do a Control-Delete, and just to see how video comes up, because we get the clock And as I say, the diskette drive on this doesn't work. So there we get a graphic on the LCD screen. We do an F1. We don't have anything in the diskette. I've got my startup diskette, and we would have to go through otherwise. And I got to pull up my other convertibles and go through and get a working diskette drive. But at least I have a way to go through and do the video capture now. I would have loved that strong display, and I'll probably go through from here. That even might be a good outro as I go through and can set that up on the screen and kind of show, you know, what that is. If I got video out, at least now, and with one of the modules, I have to be careful. I mean, if it's actually the slice that's gone out on the PC Convertible, that is absolutely fantastic because I've got many of those. And I received an IO error and actually took a picture of it. It's the first time I've seen that particular thing with one of those slices. But I'm going to go through, and if I get the external monitor connected, I can even hold up that that capture device to the camcorder screen a little bit without it being powered up and having it on a leash. And there's actually an on-screen display and things like that that this brings up, which is really kind of cool, to where so there's like a color test, and then you get and you're probably able to see it better than I am. So okay, yeah, and it shows the video mode and everything else that that come out of it. So it's a relatively elaborate device with that Pi Zero on there. And I'll go through and checking it out a little bit more in the future. You know, go through and plan to do a video and see if I can get that EGA capture and some other things going too. But let me go through and pause and get things moved around here again. And so I even had some OBS weirdness going on that it's probably the multiple video sources. I noticed that my camcorder image was frozen. I went through and replaced the monitor up there, and it like wasn't visible. It was, and that's just how OBS is dealing with the video sources. I'm surprised that, you know, the camcorder was still operating. I was still getting the feedback from the external display. But when you look at this, I've got that external monitor. It's not an issue with the monitor. It just is apparently something to, and I was sure when I connected up the monitor before, I had both the monochrome and the color display connected at the same time, and I was getting video to both. And I don't know if that had something to do with it, maybe, or what, but at least that the monitor, I've gone through and adjusted it, and I was actually hoping to go through and to use the external monitor as a test. Hey, I've got good video output. Let's get the video capture set up and see what it's like on that. And I mean, it shows the video and things like that. I could go through and zoom in on the camcorder. But I just think having the alternative and being able to do the video capture in particular for CGA, EGA, wherever else I go through. And I was actually on the on-screen display of going to the menus of this video capture device. So I can go through and I can let's show that up on the screen a little bit more. Just go through and treat it real gently. I'm gonna make sure that I'm grounded. We're not getting any static charges. And so we've got the USB power, and then in this case, capturing from the CGA, this cable going back, looks like a 6-foot cable, going back to what I had plugged into the slice. And I can go through with the modes of this unit to connect this up to EGA or whatever else, a standard 9-pin format for doing other video captures. And then I've got the HDMI out here, and then that's my just a real cheap HDMI video capture to my USB connection back to the system. So, that's all of the CGA video capture for this. And I will go through and get this unit in probably like an enclosure or something else I can work with a little bit better. And really for even the OBS and really this device with all the video sources I have, OBS gets that stuff mixed up all the time. And so I should have been aware of some of those inherent issues as well. But it is great that we got proved the external monitor's working, and I'll work through all my convertibles and get to where I can get something booted other than just the ROM basic, and to go through for that. And I don't know if it's just a monochrome monitor before. I'm going to go through and do a kind of looking at the process, because I think it goes through and maybe does it do it with the go through and it doesn't shift to the external monitor from, because normally you went through and you had that's why it's the so-called convertible. Okay, there we go. Finally, it's just got to be into a mode, but you could go through and you could disconnect the built-in LCD. And I've got more of these. I've got to go through and bring them out and go through and test them as well. But this it's not all that grand for capturing display, and that's why I'm glad to have more of the more of a video capture device now rather than even this external display. And these are uncommon. In fact, I'd like to hear if anybody's aware of any of these that color external displays that they have that are working, because I have the only one that I'm aware of out there that I know does work, thankfully, still. And interested in hearing from others. I've gone through and I've shown the monochrome monitor. I'll have it out maybe in other occasions as well to connect up the same way. And we'll do a lot more work with the convertible just to go through and test that a little bit more. So if you enjoyed the video, go ahead and click on that like button, please. And as always, subscribe to my channel if you have not done so already. But this is IBM Museum. That's all I have for now. Thank you.